Raise your hand if you've ever felt behind, like you were late in life. Look around. Yeah. Okay, now I want you to think about at what age did that feeling start? For me personally, it was at 29, a couple of years after I met my now fiancé, who, by the way, proposed to me almost 10 years after we started dating. Okay. So we were at a family gathering, and we got asked, guys, when's the wedding? Okay. With the years, that question has turned into, what about kids? Do you want to have kids? Do you know how many do you want to have? And without anybody saying it directly, there was a very clear message underneath those words. You're a bit late, aren't you? And as you saw a couple of seconds ago, I am not the only one that's ever felt that way. We live in a world that is obsessed with youth, speed, and constant reinvention. A world where being late feels like failure. Especially for women, because somewhere along the way, we've been told that 25 is a woman's prime, that after a certain age, the glow-up stops. But let's be honest. In your 30s, you are not fading, ladies. You are landing. Because by then, you have shed off a lot of the insecurities that once controlled you. You know your worth, and you've built foundations. Not just relationships or careers, but something as important as self-trust. Did you know that multiple studies show that 77% of women between the ages of 25 and 39 feel something called milestone anxiety? Yeah, that is a thing. And I think it's because for generations, women have been conditioned to believe that by 30, they need to have all figured out. The marriage, the babies, the career, the stability. So when life doesn't unfold according to that checklist, we are made to feel as if we are behind. You know, almost every woman I've spoken to feels behind in at least one area of their lives. That can be from, I should be farther ahead financially. I feel it's too late to change direction. I am not young enough, but also not established enough to go for this role. I'm the last one without kids. And the thing is, being behind doesn't mean failing. It usually means that your life didn't follow a script that you've never agreed to, which in hindsight is something that happened to me. At 35, a shift happened, and I left a job that I had been in for the last 12 years. 12 years, okay? And I didn't do it because my plan B felt much better or much safer, but because I realized something I could no longer ignore. I just didn't feel valued. I had spent years being a people pleaser, at choosing security and stability over fulfillment. So one morning, I woke up and I was like, well, if this is what having it all together looks like, I want more. And people were telling me, like, are you sure you want to leave? Like, you've been here for so many years. You've, built yourself in this company. You have a name now for yourself. But for me, leaving wasn't reckless. It was clarity. Because it was the moment that I have finally realized that, my 30s is not my ending. It's the moment when I have finally found my voice. Around the same time, I was navigating a level 4 endometriosis diagnosis and the start of a very long IVF journey. And suddenly, the way that society talks about time stopped making sense. Because, contrary to what we are told, I still have time. I have time to become a mother. I have time to change direction. And I have time to build a life that feels aligned. Because we are not in the 1950s anymore. But yet, so many women are living their lives according to rules that were written for a completely different world. going through this very emotionally and physically taxing experience, like it's endometriosis and IVF, made me realize something that changed everything. Purpose doesn't disappear when our plans radically change. It deepens. And that is also not just about reaching milestones, but also about permission. Permission to want more, permission to try new things, permission to take up space. Because there is this very, very old misconception that certain dreams just belong to certain ages. So right? Your 20s are the time for experimenting. You are allowed to be wild, to make the mistakes, not to think about responsibilities. You're allowed to settle later down in life. But what about your 30s? Well, apparently, that's when you're supposed to calm down. You're supposed to start being realistic and stop wanting too much. So people are just going to ask you, why do you want to start this new hobby in your 30s? Like, why do you even want to chase this super long-time dream in your 40s or 50s? As if passion has an age limit. As if confidence expires. As if visibility is only reserved for the young. Around a year later, at 36, I realized how deeply I had absorbed all those messages. And that it was not just that I felt behind or that I felt unvalued, but that I have just stopped speaking. Not literally, okay? I have 1,000 meetings at work every day, and I'm speaking, and I speak with my friends and family. But I had actually stopped talking about things that actually mattered to me. So I did something that felt surprisingly scary and terrifying, and I started a podcast. And I didn't do it because I had a really big platform or because I thought people were waiting to hear from me. I did it because I realized that if I didn't start using that voice that I had recently found, I might just never do it. And don't get me wrong, I had all of those voices in my head telling me like, girl, why are you doing this now? Shouldn't you have done this in your 20s? Who's even going to listen to you now, right? But I decided to shut down those voices and do it anyway. And something incredible happened. Women all over the world started listening, and then they started writing to me. And they were telling me that they felt behind too. They fell behind in their careers, they fell behind in love, they fell behind in confidence, and they fell behind in knowing who they truly were. And through my work, the podcast, and the women that I meet every day, I see this truth over and over again. Like recently, I had a conversation with a podcast listener, and she was telling me like she wanted to do a full 360 and just go for something that she's wanted to do for her whole life. But she felt that it was too late to change direction because she had worked so hard to establish herself as a renowned fashion photographer that what was people going to say if she suddenly did something completely different? And that made me think of something. It's not that we are behind. It's that we've never been shown a different way to measure progress because we have been comparing our timelines with previous generations' timelines. So here's a message that I want you all to remember forever, okay? Ladies, it's never too late to start something new. There is no age to start over. There is no age to study, no age to graduate. There is no age to fall in love. And most definitely, there is no age to chase your dreams. Because if you haven't noticed, we are all moving at our own rhythm, and that is perfectly okay. And actually, something amazing happens when women get older. We stop caring that much about permission. We become more embedded in who we truly are, and we start working through life with more truth and less fear. Actually, Diane Gilman, which is one of my podcast guests, once told me that the real beauty of aging is finally realizing that you're not running out of time. You're running towards truth. And this is another empowering message that I want you to remember forever. I also feel like I am witnessing a global shift, and thanks to social media, I am seeing women rewriting the narrative in real time, and I'm loving it. We're seeing women in their 30s starting businesses, women starting new careers in their 40s and 50s, and women finding purpose later in life and loving it. Because if you haven't noticed yet, women are no longer just grateful to have a seat at the table. We are shaking societal norms for all the women coming after us. So let me bring us back to the question that I asked you at the beginning. At what age did you first feel like you were running out of time? Because here is the truth. Your age was never the problem. It was always the moment that you fully step into yourself. Age is not the finish line. And it's never meant to stop us. And as I said before, purpose doesn't disappear when our plans change. It deepens. And that spark that we are so afraid of losing as we're getting older doesn't disappear. It sharpens. And sometimes it shines brighter than ever before. So, when someone comes to you and suggests you the women over 30 are done, ended, like finito, I want you all to tell them, well, now is the moment when we're just getting started. Thank you.